Let me show you a super easy way to make these beautiful drawings like the ones you're watching here on the video. And look, I don't usually like making these video tutorials because I don't think there's like a magic shortcut to suddenly make good art. Like, oh, I watched this video and now I'm super good. That doesn't happen. However, the technique that I'm going to show you here is it actually works. So it's not super complicated. It's not particularly hard. It's actually a very easy way to start a portrait or a painting. In this case, I'm going to be doing drawings instead of paintings, but I'm going to explain you the entire process. And the reason why it's so easy is no secret. It's not magic trick or anything. It's just because we're going to be doing these portraits in a very controlled and deliberate way. So since everything is going to be intentional, every decision we make is going to be intentional, there is such little room for mistakes. There's such little room for messing up. And this is what makes this exercise so powerful. So I'm going to show it to you right now. Okay, so first, before trying to do anything, let me just address the brushes I'm using. And I'm using some charcoal brushes. And let me tell you right now, whatever brushes I'm using, it does not matter. It's not relevant. You can literally use any type of brush. Probably your art software, if you look a little bit into your brushes, you can find a charcoal brush like the one I'm using here. But if you want to download these brushes, you can find them in my Patreon account. But I'm telling you right now, you don't have to use these brushes. You can use literally any brush will do the trick. And to be able to make these fancy looking drawings, we first have to meet two requisites. So the first thing that you should be able to do is to make a hard shape. You have to be able to make shapes like this that allow you to make hard edges. And the second requisite, which is the one that's going to make the whole thing look fancy and detailed, is having a brush that allows you to make smooth transitions or that allows you to just blend the values that we're going to be using. So once again, this brush I'm using here to blend is not magical, it's not special. You can find this in literally any program. I'm using Photoshop in this case. I'm using the Mixer tool brush, and you can use any blending tool that you like. I'm using this because this is the one I have, this is the one I like best. But anything that allows you to make these type of smooth transitions will work. So you have to be able to do this first. You have to be able to make a hard edge and a soft edge. This is super essential. And now that that's out of the way, let me actually show you what the process is like. So before even starting to paint, here's a little statue that I'm going to be painting just to show you how to approach this technique. And before doing anything, the first thing that I do is in my mind, here I'm doing it with this red color, but I separate the shadows or the light values from the light areas. So I separate the lights from the dark, and I try to simplify everything as minimum as I can. You know, I try to be very minimal. And this that you're watching me do right here with the red color, I do it in my mind. So I look at the reference and I do this exact same thing in my mind in just a matter of seconds. And once I break down the shapes in my mind, once I know what the shadows and the light areas will be, now I translate that into the canvas. Now is when I'm going to start painting. So here's what I'm going to be doing. So I'm getting this hard brush, which is the one I'm using. Like it has like this charcoal texture, and with this grayish tone, I'm just sketching the shapes and the shadows specifically. So for example, here you have the eye sockets and the nose, the hair, and everything is just going to be part of the same block of shapes of dark values. And I'm just going to keep adding shapes until there's no more shapes to add anymore. And once I'm done with the shapes, once I'm finished sketching the shadows and knowing where things will be, the next thing I'm going to do is with the blending tool. Again, don't stress too much over this. It can be literally any brush that you have. It can even be just a brush with opacity that allows you to just make smoother transitions. But I'm using this one because I feel it's the closest approach that I have to charcoal. So this drawings, this kind of style that I'm aiming for is just kind of digital charcoal. So it's very similar to the way traditional painters use the charcoal, but this is just my way of doing it. And the key to this is that instead of drawing, I'm not actually drawing here, I'm painting. So this is just painting disguised as drawing. because I'm not actually drawing the values, I'm not drawing the shadows, I'm painting them with a big brush and I'm just blending everything and putting everything together. The blending side of things is going to be the most challenging part that you're going to have to face because this is the one that I was telling you has to be done in a very deliberate way. So, what you're going to do is to look at the reference you chose and you're going to observe, okay, what edges are kind of smooth here? What edges have like a smooth transition? It's usually going to be like the cheeks. The cheeks are usually going to be blended. Here I'm painting statues, by the way. You can also paint people, but I wanted to paint statues for like this demo, so I feel like it's easier. So I recommend you go for statues, people, whatever feels better and more comfortable to you. You're going to be using the blending brush to blend the edges that are soft, at least the ones that are soft in the reference. So here you can see how the cheeks are kind of blending and the hair, some part of the hair are kind of smooth as well. So I'm just going to blend all of those transitions, all of those shapes in my study. And this is what's going to make the whole thing look three-dimensional and look realistic. Is this type of super smooth transitions. So you have to get good at this. This is the challenging part. The first stage, I think most people can easily follow along because it's not super difficult. It's just drawing the shapes, maybe fixing a little bit the proportions if you mess up. But this is the part that you have to practice. But trust me, it's if you keep doing this for a while, it's just gonna be second nature. It's not gonna be as terribly hard. And the reason why I say this is a super easy exercise is because what's the alternative of this? Well, what I used to do is just trying to blend the entire thing randomly without really knowing what I was doing. And when you try to blend everything, when you try to make everything smooth and you don't really have any control of the things you're doing or your shapes, your edges, and your blending, everything is just going to be a mess. So you really want to be drawing like this or painting like this. You can also paint like this. This is the actual way that a lot of traditional painters begin their paintings. And even traditional charcoal artists as well start with this technique. So this is not new. This is not something I just came up with. This is literally the best way to simplify the process of drawing and painting and making art in general. And so as you can see here, this portrait is basically done. I feel like I rushed it a little bit. I probably could have done a better job at the rendering stage, but that's a good thing about art, that you can just erase the whole thing and make something new from scratch. So let's draw something a little bit more complex using this technique. For this drawing, I'm going to be using the exact technique I did with the previous study. So the only little difference you might notice is that I start blending right away. So I make a shape and then I blend it. I don't make the shapes first and for example, the study I did here, I saved the blending for last just to show you how to go step by step. But I feel like I've done this enough, I've studied this enough for me to be comfortable enough with blending as I go along. So once you get to a certain point, you can also do this as well. So you make a shape and you blend it depending on the reference, depending on whether the transition is soft or not. This is pretty much what I'm doing, and I'm just doing it in a bigger scale because this painting is a lot more complex. And I'm adding a lot of different values and shapes as well. I use a lot of shapes here. It's almost like a little painting that I'm doing. I'm just using this charcoal texture that really, really helps selling the entire drawing or the entire thing as a drawing. Also, if you got to this far of the video, that means you are very serious about learning art, or that at least you want to improve your skills and you want to be a better artist. So I just want to let you know that I have a paid community where I help you to improve your art and I help you get an art transformation just like I did. So I literally grab you by the hand, by the way. So if you join, I literally have video calls with you once a week just to make sure you are actually improving and I get you to the right direction. I'm also making a lot of premium video classes that you can watch that are pretty much related to all the stuff I upload to my channel. So if you're interested, you can check it out. I genuinely think it's super, super useful. And all the people that have been here so far have improved a lot. So check it out. It's in the first link in the description. It's a Discord community. I'm really excited to see you there. Anyways, back to the drawing here. I always say painting instead of drawing because, it's literally just a painting. This is also probably the best mindset you can have when you're painting or when you're drawing these studies or when you're drawing from photos, if you look at things, even if if you're going to draw the shapes, if you look everything as what they are, just shapes, then you'll have a very good mentality when it comes to simplifying things. Because the way I paint and the way I draw here, the way that you're seeing me draw, it all consists on simplifying everything, simplifying the values, simplifying the shapes. Everything just comes down to simplification and keeping things easy to read. And when you approach this type of studies with shapes instead of using lines, everything just becomes a lot prettier and a lot more, just more aesthetic in general. Funny enough, painting is going to help you. So if you do like painting studies, but what I'm doing here, or like the entire idea that I have with this video, is to show you that this is basically a painting distillation, and how you can start this type of drawings and paintings only using two values. It's very simple exercise. It doesn't really matter what your skill level is. You should be able to make something out of this at the very least the first stage, which is just blocking the shapes and understanding how form and value works. So once you understand that, it's just a matter of knowing what parts to blend, like I'm doing here. Here I'm blending the eye sockets and just rendering at this point. So in the end, you don't even need to use blending to have a solid foundation or a solid study. So as you can see here, this is the final result. I'm actually very happy how it turned out. I decided to leave some parts unfinished. You can see the hands are very unfinished. They're very abstract, and I kind of like them that way. They're very fun to look at. So this is all for the video. If you're interested in joining to the community, it's in the top link in the description. You can check it out.